Oh boy, welcome to another rambling video. Instead of Digibro doing a rant topic, a rant hole video, it's me talking about my own thoughts and opinions on my own YouTube channel with my own set of topics, whatever. Okay. I'm aggravated because yesterday, I'm still aggravated. I was aggravated more about it yesterday, but I'm still aggravated about it today because Google, not YouTube, Google. The Google box, Google Stadia, they had their Stadia Connect. They had their first Stadia Connect, and where it basically showed off a few games that were coming, the price, a bit more about how the system, how it works, and basically, of course, the big gimmick about Google Stadia is that you don't have to worry about game downloads. It's all about video game streaming. You are streaming it, which is literally the worst thing that you could do. Why would you do that? That is absolute. Oh, man. Okay, so the big reason why this is an issue is that I'm so aggravated, and it just pisses me off. It's amazing how a company like Google, first off, the fact that Google owns YouTube and YouTube is already screwed up big time in general. It's no surprise there, but sometimes the fact that YouTube can be so unstable sometimes, it already gives me zero promise in Stadia being good. So the whole thing about Google Stadia is that you are downloading games. They're not downloading games. It's all streaming through the internet, through the cloud. You're playing these games on your computer, on your TV, or on your phone, and with the Stadia controller. And there's no console, there's no physical games, there's no nothing. You pay for a subscription or you don't, and then you play, but you have to buy the games individually, and then you pay, and then you play the game, right? Okay. The first thing that's wrong with this, first off, when Google Stadia comes out later this year, I believe in the fall, it is releasing as the Founders Edition, which includes some stuff. It includes, let's just look here. It includes, it's $9 the Stadia, the Founders Edition comes with a controller, a Chromecast Ultra, and like a subscription, I think a year subscription to Stadia Pro, which is the main subscription service, which is you have access to resolution up to 4K. You have a frame rate of 60 FPS. The sound will be 5.1 surround sound. You can buy games whenever you want. Additional free games released regularly, so you will get some free games, and you will also get some discounts on select games. Okay. The base, you're getting all of that, right? The base form of Stadia comes out next year, which is free, which has the resolution up to 1080p, 60 FPS. Sound is stereo. You can buy games whatever you want, but you don't get access to free games that are released regularly. And you don't get access to discounts. Okay. None of this is good. Literally none of this is good. The first biggest issue about this is that half of the stuff you might not even be using. Because say if you live in an area, where your connection is bad, right? If your connection is absolute dog shit, then you're not going to be streaming up to 4K. You're going to be streaming at most to like 720p, maybe 1080p. And if you can't even reach 720p, I don't even know if you'll still be able to play. You most likely will. Your frame rate's going to take a fucking drop. Your resolution's going to take a fucking drop. And if you're playing a graphically intensive game, say if you're playing like Final Fantasy 15 or a fighting game like how Mortal Kombat 11 and Samurai Showdown is gonna be on the Stadia. Let alone that freaking Capcom. Some of Capcom's games are also going to be on the Stadia, which means maybe if you want to play Street Fighter or something on the Stadia, how are you gonna play perfectly? There's no way that you'll be able to enjoy playing if it relies on your internet. And the thing is that say if you don't even live alone. Say if you live with multiple people and you have multiple people in your house, using up your internet, right? Then of course it's gonna affect how well the Stadia performs. The Stadia relies too heavily on your internet. It's all about the internet. There's no way that can succeed and provide a reasonable and enjoyable gaming experience unless you have like the most top tier internet provider, the top tier internet service, Wi-Fi, that in general. Also, actually, yeah. How would you wire the connection? Because it's all based on the cloud, right? What would you connect the? I guess, yeah. Okay, no, never mind. If you have a Chromecast, say if you want to play through your TV, does the Chromecast have like a LAN thing that you can put in? Okay, that works for you. All right. But then what about everything else that uses the internet in the house? That's still gonna affect the Stadia in some way, in some form. If you have like a LAN connection, that's like that's all you have. But if you're playing on your phone or on your tablet, you don't have shit. If you're playing on a computer, you have a LAN connection. If your computer's too far away from the router, well, use Wi-Fi. Oh, Wi-Fi can be troubling sometimes, right? Oh well, that's your fault. Well, it's not your fault. Well, yeah, it is your fault. You bought Stadia. Don't buy Stadia. I'm gonna say that right now before we even get to the ending of this video, because we still have a bit more to go. Don't buy Stadia, because if this relies so heavily on your internet, what about in the random situation where you don't have internet anymore? Where let's say if for some reason, right, you have a power outage, right? How are you gonna play? You can play on your phone, right? You can play on your phone, but that doesn't rely on the router anymore, right? Because your Wi-Fi is knocked out if your power's out. You're relying on 4G LTE or 5G whenever that comes out. So now you're relying on something that can fluctuate already, as if your Wi-Fi couldn't already fluctuate, even though it's more stable. Now you're kind of already guaranteed a little bit of a fuck up with your gameplay. So now what's next? Second, now say if you have a power outage. If I have a power outage, I can still play on my Nintendo Switch. Let alone if my Wi-Fi goes out, if my internet goes out, or say if I'm having some trouble with paying the internet bill, right? Something like that. You know, be on top of your shit. But say if you don't have internet right now, right? So something happens because internet providers aren't perfect. What the fuck are you gonna do then? If you're you're not gonna be able to do anything on your computer that requires the internet. But if you have a console, if you have your Nintendo Switch, if you have your PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5 when that comes out, if you have an Xbox, if you have a console, even if you have a computer, you can still play games. Because, at least for the Switch, if you downloaded your games digital, you have it downloaded. It's on the console. The whole thing about Stadia is that you're not downloading the game. It's all based upon the cloud. It's all based upon the internet. And if you can't connect to your games, you're not playing your games. If I already have my games with me, especially if I have them physically, if I have the case with me, I can pop it into my system any time of the day, whenever I want. If it's a Switch, it better be charged, but I can still pop it at any time of the day and still play it whenever I want to. And I don't have to worry about some abstract service, some service that won't always guarantee me an option to play my games. I'll still always have a chance to play my games, even when you're offline, right? The thing about Steam is that even though it is a DRM service, it installs the games onto your system. It installs the games onto your computer. So let's say if my internet goes out, right? I can still play a game in offline mode because that game is on my computer. Now, what I'm saying might not be exactly 100% perfect. Some games do have like an online thing where, of course, so you won't be able to play it, right? But there are a lot of games. There are a lot of single player games. There are a lot of fighting games, any type of games. There are RPGs. You don't need to be connected to the internet all the time. If you want to do something on the internet, then you have to connect to the internet, right? But if I'm playing a Zero Striker Gunvolt, why would I need to be connected to the internet to play that, right? I can just open it on my computer, and then it's right there. There's nothing getting in the way from stopping me from playing. If I have a Bluetooth controller, well, no, because Bluetooth, that's different. That's not Wi-Fi. But again, it's just like you're relying way too much on the Stadia. And that's the biggest thing about it. If we end up moving to relying on cloud gaming more and more, it takes away the physical aspect. It takes away ownership of your games. Again, when you buy a game, you're buying games separately on Stadia, right? But you're not downloading those games. You're paying to play those games, but you're playing to stream it. You're not paying to own the game and then be able to play it whenever you want. That's a big issue. That is one of the biggest issues about this. You know, and let's say if when Stadia comes out, it ends up having some trouble within like the first month of its release, right? Well, you already sunk money into it, right? You already sunk, if you get the Founders Edition, right? You already sunk $129 into that. You're not gonna get your money back unless you refund it, right? But let's say you end up not liking a game that you bought anymore, or the game doesn't end up being as good as you expected it to be, or you know, because people have tastes. Some people have different, and people all have different tastes. How are you getting your money back, right? Yeah, hopefully you can find a way to get your money back. Hopefully they'll do refunds, right? But say if now Steam sucks with this too. I own my games, but I don't fully own them. I own them to the fact that I still have the right to play them, but it's not my full ownership. Where if I had a physical game, I could trade it to somebody else. I could give it to a friend of mine and let them borrow it. With Steam, I'd have to let them borrow my whole account and do the family share, right? With which that's family share is good, but I can't just give them my game. And I can't sell my games. If I get tired of a game, if I get tired of playing Xenoverse 2 on my Nintendo Switch, I can send it back to GameStop and be like, hey, can I trade this in, get like $7, I still have some money, I'll still get some return on my investment. I'll still get some return on that investment that I made, because even though I'm not getting all of my money back, I'm still getting something back, because it's mine, because I had owned that. With Stadia, you don't do that. With Stadia, you don't own that at all. You have to rely on the overlords of Google to make sure that their connections is great, that their services are great, right? And let's say Stadia ends up failing within the first month, right? Like a whole bunch of casual gamers buy it, but it's not enough to where Google is gaining profit from it, and developers itself. That's a big thing as well. If developers are sinking exclusives and money and their time into Stadia and it fails, well, now the developers are fucked and they're gonna have to go to other consoles. When the whole point of an exclusive is that you're not on other consoles or other platforms, you're on those. That's supposed to be the special benefit of an exclusive, the fact that it can only be bought there. So let's say if the Stadia fails, right? Developers are fucked because now the exclusive that they developed for, they're asked out now. Other developers who didn't make exclusive, they still have to put at least some form of money, I believe, into, you know, having the games on Stadia, or, you know, Google paid Stadia, right? It's bad for Google as well, because if Stadia fails, they put all this money into it, and let's say if they want to end the service at one point, how are you keeping your games? They're gonna have to pay to, you know, they have to use money in order to keep the service up and running. So if they see that it's not worth it to put money into those servers, how are you gonna play your games? At that point, we'll say if they're like, okay, well, now since the service is ending, you'll have the eligibility to download your games. If it was on Steam, I'd already be able to do that. So there's no point. There is no point to Stadia. The only good thing about Stadia is that you're getting a controller, maybe, and that's it. You're getting a controller. But outside of that, Stadia is completely useless. And I hope you don't buy it. And I hope people that you know don't buy it. I'm not gonna buy it. I was originally gonna buy it, but I can't believe I was dumb enough to think that cloud-based gaming was a good idea. Colin Drum was right. I'm a retard. Fuck.